You know that feeling when you use an app and it's just perfect? It feels effortless, but then you open another one and it feels like a total chore. Well, that difference isn't magic. It's a very specific approach, and today we're going to break down the 6 core principles behind it: user-centered design.
Oh, we've all been there, right? You're tapping on a button and nothing happens. Or you're trying to find a setting that seems to have just vanished into thin air. It's that classic hair-pulling frustration of modern life. And believe it or not, that feeling is by design. It's just really, really bad design.
And I want you to hear this loud and clear. It is not your fault. When you get frustrated like that, it's a giant flashing sign that the product wasn't built with a real person, with you in mind. It's a failure of the process, never the user.
But the good news is, there's a much, much better way to do things. It's a philosophy, a whole mindset called user-centered design. And it basically flips the script by putting you, the actual user, at the very heart of every single decision. So what is it really? Well, think of it this way. Instead of a company building something and then just hoping people can figure it out, user-centered design starts by deeply understanding people first and then building the product to fit seamlessly into their world. It sounds simple, but trust me, it's a total game changer.
So where do you begin? It all starts right where it should, with real, actual people. This first part covers our 2 most foundational principles.
The very first principle, the absolute bedrock of this whole thing, can be summed up in 2 words: don't guess. See, great design isn't born from some flash of genius or a designer's intuition. It's built on a rock-solid foundation of evidence about who the users are, what they're trying to do, and the messy, real-world context they're in.
So how do you stop guessing? You get out there and get evidence. Designers have a whole toolkit for this. They'll actually go and observe people using a product in their own environment. That's called shadowing. They'll do interviews, look at data to see where people are getting stuck, and they'll even create these things called empathy maps to really try and get inside a user's head.
Okay, let's make this concrete with a simple login screen. It's easy to just assume everyone wants a password. But a user-centered designer asks bigger questions. Are they logging in from a crowded train with a terrible connection? Are they on a shared computer at a library where they don't want to type a password? Those contexts completely change what the best solution is.
Okay, principle number 2. This one is huge. It's not enough to just study users at the very beginning and then go hide in a cave for 6 months to build something. You have to involve them constantly throughout the entire process. They stop being test subjects and start being your co-creators. And this means you're actually bringing users into workshops to sketch out ideas right alongside the design team. You're showing them super early, sometimes just hand-drawn, prototypes to get their raw gut reactions. And of course, you're using things like beta programs to see how the design holds up in the chaos of real life.
Back to our login screen. Imagine asking a group of users to just draw their perfect login experience. You might discover they'd much rather get a magic link in their email than deal with another password. Or you could have them vote on the exact wording for a password reset link to see which phrase feels the safest. That's the kind of gold you just can't come up with on your own. Okay, so you've started with people. Fantastic. What's next? Well, now you enter the engine room of user-centered design, this incredible dynamic cycle of making, breaking, and refining that we call the build, test, learn loop. Principle 3 is all about checking your work. You absolutely have to validate your design ideas with real users, and you have to do it often. You don't wait until the big launch day to find out nobody understands your brilliant idea. You test early to catch problems when they're still small and cheap to fix. So for our login screen, we're not asking vague questions like, so do you like it? No way. We're giving them a mission. Okay, your task is to reset your password. Go. And then you just watch. Do they fly through it? Do they hesitate? Do you see that little frown of confusion? Their actions tell you everything you need to know. And that leads us perfectly into our 4th principle. The whole process is iterative. This little loop you see here, build, test, learn, and then repeat, is the fundamental rhythm, the heartbeat of modern product design. You make a little something, you see how it works, you learn from it, and you do it again, getting a little smarter each time. And what's so cool here is how small and fast these loops can be. Let's say you think adding a little show password icon might help people. Instead of just launching it to millions of users and hoping for the best, you can release it to just, say, 1% of them. Then you measure the data. Did the login success rate actually go up for that tiny group? If so, great. If not, No big deal. You just ran a smart, tiny experiment and avoided a massive risk.
All right, so we've started with people and we're constantly iterating. The final part of this puzzle is about zooming out. It's about understanding that great design is so much more than just what you see on the screen.
And this, principle number 5, is so important. Design has to address the entire user experience. That means we have to ask bigger questions. What's the user's emotional state? Are they feeling anxious or confident when they use this? Is this product actually accessible to people with disabilities? How does this little digital thing fit into their much bigger physical world? Let's look at our login screen one last time. The whole experience isn't just the text boxes. It's the little privacy note that makes you feel safe. It's the error message that sounds helpful, like, that password doesn't look quite right, instead of a robotic, invalid input. And it's making sure someone using a screen reader can use it just as easily as anyone else. That's holistic thinking. And finally, our 6th and final principle is a powerful reminder that you can't do any of this alone. Great design is and always will be a team sport. To solve really complex human problems, you need a team packed with different skills, different backgrounds, and different ways of seeing the world. This slide just says it all, doesn't it? Our so-called simple login screen? To do it right, you need input from engineering on technical stuff, from the security team on password rules, from customer support who knows all the common problems people have, and from legal to make sure everything is compliant. Suddenly, it's not so simple anymore. It truly takes a village. So we've walked through all 6 principles. Now, let's bring it all home. How can you use this to actively avoid the pitfalls of bad design? Let's wrap up with a quick cheat sheet. Here are some of the classic mistakes. A lot of teams wait way too long to test their ideas. The fix? Test something, even a paper sketch, in the very first week. They design in a bubble, ignoring what's technically possible. The fix? Bring engineers into the conversation from day one. They treat accessibility like a checkbox to tick at the end. The fix? Build it into every single design cycle. And my favorite, they design for some mythical average user. The fix is to go find your extreme users. They're the ones who will reveal the biggest flaws in your design. And that brings us to the end, but I want to leave you with a question to chew on. Think about an app, a website, even a physical product you use every single day. Now that you've got these principles in your head, starting with people, iterating, seeing the whole picture, how would you do it differently? Give it some thought. You might just start seeing the world through a whole new lens.